Does size matter? Stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Three River Books. Does size matter? All right, I know it's a little play on words. However, I hope that some of my female viewers will get a kick out of it. The deal is very simple. As an avid reader, as somebody that likes to read a lot, there are some size books that are just too big. And what I mean by that is they are too tall, they are too heavy, they are what they would be considered as tomes or large books that monks used to read. All right, if you ever watch any of the old videos or old movies, monks used to have these huge, tremendous books, Bibles, that kind of thing, where they had a desk and they had a piece of wood or an altar and they would read from it. If you're a religious person, you know right now that any church right now will read from a desk or a podium because the books are too damn big. Now, what I like to read is smaller books, but there are some that I just can't stand, and we'll get into that. All right, so let's look at the size. Now, I don't want you to get involved in what these books are. These are just books that I pulled from my shelf. Some of them are reference books, some of them are fantasy books, but let's talk about some that are just coffee table books. All right? This is the size of a typical coffee table book. All right, I'm going to grab out my ruler just to give you an idea of what it is. It's a 11.5 by 9. So this is a full-size sheet of paper, way too big to sit in bed and read. Now, I will say that there are some people that will sit there and read this in bed. However, depending on the text and depending on how big it is, it may or may not be comfortable. Also, your type of reading. Now, I'm not covering any type of e-readers here. I don't think that's important because we'll get into that in another video. But something like this coffee style book, not so much, but not for me, but maybe for you. All right, the next one is a paperback edition, very, very similar to it, okay? Let's give you some size. This is 8.5, again, by 11. Very, very similar in size. However, the size of this book is huge. It is a reference book. So again, if I wanted to sit there and go through the reference material, it makes it very easy to read. However, you need a desk to do it. This is not something that you can carry around. And I think this has something like, let's see, 954 pages. I don't know about you, but laying in bed reading 954 pages of the U.S. Army Survival Guide, probably going to be a long month in order for me to get through this. Also, probably some neck pain and some back pain. All right. Something that I'm going to grab from the side is something that I like to call a shelf queen. All right. This right here is a shelf queen. This is a very, very expensive book. This is where these books are HarperCollins special editions. This is the Lord of the Rings. It does have very, very fancy motifs and a whole bunch of good stuff in it. This type of book, from my experience, is a shelf hanger, all right? Is a shelf queen. Nobody's reading this book. It's going to sit on your shelf. You might do a YouTube video on it. It'll look very nice on the shelf. It looks great. But again, I don't think people want to mess this up, especially when you spend a lot of money for these. This thing is not light either. All right, we're coming in at 9.5 by 6 by 2.5. All right. So again, shelf queen, nice book, but again, probably not going to read it. All right, let's look at another tome, or what I like to say. Let's look at another book that's kind of a desk reader, right? This is hardback. They used to have these in paperback, and I know that paperback versions of this book will be somewhat lighter. All of the books that you see here are either a mix of hardback and paperback, and again, I get it. But something this large is probably going to need a desk or someplace where you can sit. Again, 9.5 by 6 by 3. All right, this has almost 900 pages in it. Wheel of Time is a great book. I know there are some people that will sit and read this. This is kind of like that go-to size. This is the size, a 6 by 9 book is kind of what I like. Again, the page count in here is pretty hefty, so it will take me a while to read it. All right, guys, so this is a 5.5 by 9 by, I want to say, 2 inches. All right. Pretty hefty book. This is actually one of the better quality books. Again, probably about 500 pages. And this is something that you can read in bed, albeit that it would be a lot easier to get this in a soft cover. It would be a lot easier to get this in a paperback. It kind of floats the line between reading at the desk or chair or reading in bed. You could do both with this book very comfortably. It's not too heavy, although, again, very, very good copy of this book. I would recommend the paperback. All right, guys. By all means, this is my size. This is what I like. All right. So you have a 6x9 book. It's very, very lightweight. It is in a trade paperback. Trade paperback to me is the only book that I find comfortable to read, even though it might have a longer page count because it's not condensed. It helps because, again, with my failing eyes, the words are larger. All right. So just remember that when you buy a bigger book, typically the words are going to be larger. And as you get older and your eyes aren't that good anymore, it's a lot easier to read. So definitely trade paperbacks are for me. This is another example of a trade paperback. It is 5.5 by 8. Now 5.5 by 8, although it is not my 6x9 style, it is still doable. I do like this version of the book. It is still doable. I still like this as a read anywhere type of book. You could bring it in a backpack. You could bring it on the subway. You could read it on the trail. Whatever it is a very comparable book. It is a little bit smaller, but the font on these pages are outstanding and I could read it. Now, with the smaller the books, you might have to do a little bit more page count, but again, really my size. So these two books, again, 6x9 and 5.5 by 8 are probably, in my opinion, the best read anywhere books. All right, guys, another 5 by 8 paperback book. This is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is a really outstanding book. Again, read anywhere type of book. I just wanted to show you that there is a little bit of a difference in height, as you can see here. So this one's just a little bit smaller, but again, perfectly normal. I hate mass market paperback. All right, I said it. Go ahead, fill all the comments down below on how much of a jerk I am. I hate this size. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. This is the size that you read when you are a young adult, right? Young adult. This is the size that you can put absolutely anywhere. Most of these books are put together in China. They probably cost you about $7 to $10 brand new, anywhere from $3 to $5 used. You can get these books anywhere, any market, in any title. So if one of these books, these big heavy duty books, tend to run out, in other words, they're not making the hardback copy anymore, you can get it in mass paperback. I don't like mass paperback very simply because they are very cheaply made. A lot of times the fonts are really small and really hard to read. In a pinch, it will work. It is one of those books that you read at the campfire, and then once you're done, you throw this in the campfire. That's how much I despise mass market paperback. Mass market paperbacks are probably a 7.5 by 4. So these are 7.5 by 4 inches, if I haven't already mentioned it. Again, once you're done with it, burn it. All right, guys, now we're going on into what I like to call the cargo pocket paperback. All right. Typically, they're going to look like this. This happens to be Michael Hawke's Special Forces survival book, which makes sense. It is another 7 by 5-ish type book. It goes into the pocket of BDUs. Military BDUs have that side pocket. You can also buy a pair of chinos or tactical pants, and they will have that side pocket. That's what this is for. It is a reference style book. These are good to go if you're going to go out into the woods. All right. So again, if you are somebody who wants to know about survival and you need a quick reference book, or if you're lost in the woods, this is ideal for that situation. A lot of these books will also come with heavier, thicker paper, so they, maybe a little bit more waterproof or weather resistant. All right, that's going to add a little bit of weight, but this book was very, very well done. It does have highlighted text. It is easy to read. The paper is a little bit more durable, so love this book. All right, the next one is what I'd like to call pocket Bible books. Okay, this typically is a 6 or 6.5 by 4 inches. So a 6 by 4. I have a couple of them here. All right. This again is The Lord of the Rings, and this is Spiritual Combat by David Grossman. Both excellent books. Now I'll get into this one in a second, but again, what it does is it's still a little bit of a cargo pocket book. If your text needs to be read, let's say you are a religious person, and I did see a lot of these out in the field during Iraq. The problem with these books is that the text is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. All right. Again, you'll find these type of books on any type of soldier or somebody that is highly religious and wants to carry around their Bible with them, their Torah, their Quran, whatever. They will put them in these sizes, and ideally what that's for is just to put it in a pocket someplace safe, so they'll have it with them. Again, this is the Hobbit Pocket Edition, and this is an awesome little leather-bound book, and I'm going to do a whole review on my little leather-bound books. These you can buy as a set, but I want you to see how small the text is. All right, so the text is super tiny. All right, very hard to read. Again, this is typically something that is more of a shelf queen because of its size. My eyes, I wouldn't be able to read this. This is just too small for me. I have to wear glasses for it. But really nice and convenient. You were getting to the size that I'd like to call the shirt pocket book, which is this size. All right, shirt pocket book. We're looking at a 5.5 by 3.5. 5.5 by 3.5. And I know that this is a pocket Webster dictionary, but again, ideally this is for a shirt pocket. But I just want to show you how small the text is. Again, the smaller the books, the smaller the text. All right, not so much a couch reader anymore, unless you have a big magnifying glass, okay? A couple other books, again, Declaration of Independence, very, very small book, very, very small fonts. Okay, because you can see there. And this is something that SAS Survival Guide, this was the shirt pocket edition, again, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. 4.5 by 3.5. All right, this is a tiny, tiny, tiny book. And just to give you guys a little bit of comparison, all right, so this is the Bible size. All right, just look how small this is. All right, this is a very, very, very tiny book. All right, I would consider this something that you would put in your kit. So if you were somebody that's like a soldier that has gotten lost somewhere in the woods, and weight always seems to be a problem when you are someone that does a lot of hiking, maybe a true hiker or somebody that is in the military. This little book can come in handy and save your life. However, look how tiny it is. And just to finish up with something like this, okay, this is a little bit of a reference guide, and these small little tiny reference guides, again, very, very, very small writing. High color pictures. This is the First Aid and Survival Guide by My Medic. These little things are shirt pocket survival guides. That's all it is. So this one, this size, and even this size are all shirt pocket survival guides. All right, guys, let's go back. Let's finish up. All right, guys. So I hope you appreciated this video about size. Again, to each his own. I'm not going to tell you how to read your books. I know for me personally, I feel that it is easier for me to stick with the trade paperbacks. These happen to be my favorite, either the 6x9s, the 5x9s, and you know, as long as I could read the text is big enough. The heavy duty tomes are great, but you're going to need a desk for that, especially something this large. I don't know if you're going to want to cuddle up in bed with something like that. We do have our shelf queens. All right, we know about our shelf queens. All right, these are the very, very expensive books that probably are never going to get read, although you should, because you paid a lot of money for it. And we do know about my loathing about the loathing of the mass market paperback. All right, guys, I hope you appreciated that video. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. I will put all the links down below for my Amazon. If you purchase anything from there, I get like 2 cents on a dollar, so thank you very much. That's another way to support the channel. And go to Patreon, become a Patreon member. Only cost you $1 a month, where you can watch videos like this before anybody else. Plus, you can binge watch on my other 3 channels. Yes, I have 4 channels, guys. So if you want any of that stuff, just go to the description box below. And as always, guys, stay safe.